Hello, welcome to today's class on understanding geography with diagrams. In today's class, basically, we'll be talking about your coral reef. Now, let's start the class. See, first of all, understand what is a coral reef. Now, coral reef or be it the atolls are significant submarine features. Simple. They are significant submarine features, or simply you can write they are just the submarine features, which are formed due to the accumulation and compaction of the skeletons of the lime secreting organism known as the coral polyps. Now, this is for your prelims point of view, or this is basically your facts. See, understand this. Coral reefs are called the rainforest of the ocean. Why they are called the rainforest of the ocean? Because we find more number of species of organism over a coral reef than over the tropical rainforest. I hope you know that the tropical rainforest is located in the equatorial belt, which receives more than 300 centimeter of rainfall. Next, more than 50% of the calcium carbonate of the corals are contributed by the algae. This algae is none other than your zooxanthella. Now, understand this. Constituent of a coral reef means what does this reef actually constitutes of? This is the entire constituent. See, start from below itself. This is the reef. Now, what is this coral reef? See, coral reef is nothing but the cemented or the hardened structure of the CaCO3, calcium carbonate. See, whenever this corals die, the skeleton gets deposited, but now and then the skeleton gets cemented because of the pressure and temperature. This cementing results in the formation of your large scale coral reef. Next, above your reef we have your corallite. What is this corallite? Nothing but the skeleton of the coral polyps. Now above the skeleton we have your corals. Now let's come over here to understand what are the corals. See, this is basically the structure of your corals. These are the coral tentacles that helps it to get food, and within this you can see this green patches. See, these green patches are nothing but your zooxanthella algae. Read it anywhere in your basically in your Shankar IS has given a details about the zooxanthella. But understand this. Number one is that 75% of the tissue of the corals is constituted by this zooxanthella. Means if you cut a coral into the piece, 75% of the part of the coral is zooxanthella, and only 25% is nothing but the coral, the white structure or the skeleton of the coral. Next, 60% of the food of the coral is provided by the zooxanthella. If the coral takes 100% food, out of which 60% is provided by the zooxanthella through photosynthesis, and the rest 40% is derived by the coral from the microscopic organism, be it the small microscopic organism like small planktons, zooplanktons, etc. Now remember this concept is very important. See, whenever you are writing an answer about this, you no need to write about this until and unless the question has been asked for a 60 mark. For a 60 markers question, you need to write up this, which are what is it? It's nothing but a type of corals. See, type of corals is basically two types. One is hermatypic and next is ahermatypic. Hermatypic is nothing but your reef building coral, and about which we will be reading about now. But a hermatypic coral is very important. Look at this. First of all, they live in isolation, but this hermatopic coral, they live in group. Next, non-reef building coral, but the hermatypic are reef building. Next, they are found throughout the world ocean in the varying environmental condition. But where are the hermatypic are found? We will study about it. Next, hermatypic, you can find it in the polar region, you can find it in the tropic region, you can find it in the cold water, you can find it over here in the dark zone or the aphotic zone. What is the aphotic zone? Aphotic zone is that part of the ocean where the sunlight doesn't reach us. If you don't know about the aphotic zone, I would request you to watch my video on the physical conditions of the ocean water. See, this is some simple. Hence we see. So basically from this what we got is that we can find corals anywhere in the world, but reef building corals are not found everywhere in the world. Rather, they are found only in the tropical water, or we can say they are confined to the tropical region. Let's see next. See, what are the conditions of the growth of the coral? When I'm saying growth of the coral, it simply means that your hermatypic coral and none other than your hermatypic coral. See, first of all, temperature. Corals are found mainly in the tropical ocean and the seas where the mean monthly temperature remains more than 18 degrees centigrade but less than 30 degrees centigrade throughout the year. Means the mean average temperature is 18 to 30 degrees centigrade. Below it, corals won't survive. Above it, corals won't survive. Next, sunlight. Sufficient sunlight should be available for the growth of the coral polyps. See, sunlight helps the zooxanthella to carry on the photosynthesis, which provides the coral with 60% of the food that it produces. What we have taught, what I had taught previously. Next, this is for your prelims point of view. I have to write this from the prelims point of view, else students what they are doing is that adding up to the mains answer itself. But this is not necessary. See, corals do not survive in the deep water because of the two factors. Now, when I say corals do not survive, again I say it's your hermatypic corals or your reef building corals do not survive in the deep water because of the two factors. First is that the absence of sunlight, and second is your reduction in the oxygen level. Remember that as we move down, the oxygen level starts reducing. Hence, hence the coral do not survive in the low oxygenated water. Next is turbidity. What is turbidity? See, within the water, the turbidity is nothing but the presence of the minute particles. This minute particles, basically what they do is that they create a cloudiness in the water. See, coral polyps require clean sediment free water for their growth, because muddy water, what happens is that they clog their mouth of the coral animals, as a result of which they die because they cannot get food through the filter feeding. They cannot filter. Basically, that is the main problem of the corals. They cannot filter, hence they cannot get water in this context. See, this is why generally the corals are not found in the vicinity of the mouth of the river. Whenever, see, this is the mouth of the river, this is say this is the your coast. Now if you can find corals in this region, but you will never find corals over here because of the fresh water, number one, and number two is because of the sediments that it brings throughout it. Next is the salinity. Again, oceanic salinity ranges between 27 to 27 parts per million, parts per thousand, and 30 parts per thousand is the most ideal for the growth and development of the coral. This is also the reason that coral reefs are not found on the mouth of the river, because mouth of the river, what it does is that there is influx of the fresh water. Next is that the oceanic current. Oceanic current, basically what it does is that it brings with it nutrients and minerals which is necessary for the growth of the coral. And mostly what you would do is that, what you would find is that most of the corals, they are located basically in the eastern part of the eastern part of the continents. For example, your Great Barrier Reef located in the eastern parts of the Australia due to the prevalence of the East Australian warm current. Next, but that doesn't mean that the corals are not found in the eastern coast. That would be very wrong to say. Next, submarine foundation not below 50 fathoms. 50 fathoms or 300 feet. See, first of all, there should be extensive submarine platform for the formation of the colonies of the coral polyps. Such platforms should not be more than 50 fathoms or 300 feet. However, we have coral reefs which are below 300 feet, and we are still don't know that how they have come into existence. This is for clarity. This is something that is still on research. Next, what is the structure of the coral reef? See, basically this is your diagram. I want you to look at three things. First is your reef face, next one is your buttress zone, algal ridge, and your reef terrace. See, this reef face is located at the depth of more than 80 meters, where it is difficult for the hermatypic corals to survive. Look at this over here. This is your buttress zone and this is your algal ridge. See, within this algal ridge is nothing but, see, this is a ridge portion, and within this portion between the two ridges is called the buttress zone. See, both in the algal ridge as well as in your buttress zone, there are corals. In the algal ridge you would find encrusting coral, whereas in the buttress ridge you would find the brain or branching corals. This is the category of the corals. See, basically what happens is that this entire zone acts as a buffer zone. What happens is that whenever the waves are coming, high level of the sea waves, whenever they are coming, they basically strike over here and the energy of the sea wave is lost. As a result, the backward region, this region is basically saved from your erosion. Hence, it is the algal ridge and your buttress zone that basically reduces the wave energy that strikes over here and hence protects the coral reef from further erosion. This is one thing. Next, we have the lagoon. What is this lagoon? This lagoon is nothing but it is present behind this reef terrace. What is this reef terrace? Reef terrace is nothing but it consists of the reef building corals and it's located behind the algal reef. That is all simple. You can draw this diagram and from the diagram itself you can analyze. Reef face located at the bottom, hence no corals. The buttress algal ridge and the see this is your algal ridge and this is your buttress zone. Over here there is coral, but also the thing is that this area helps to absorb what? Helps to absorb the incoming energy of the sea waves, hence protects the reef behind this region from the excessive erosion. This is all the thing that I have written. Please go through it. Next, let's move on. See, this is the distribution of your coral reefs. So basically what you can see is that, see, this is your Australia. Within this Australia Sea itself, this is your the Great Barrier Reef. Similarly, look at this in the North America. Over here, remember that there is Canary Current. Again, we see that the corals are located where? In the west, mostly. Next, again, see over here in South America also, but there are corals in the east. Again, let's look into Africa. Africa, over here, there is the prevalence of the Agulhas current. Again, you see that there is a location of your coral reefs. Again, in India, see, India, we have the west coast, we have the coral reefs. We also have the coral reefs over here, that is your Andaman and Nicobar Island. Now, let's come to the type of coral reefs. See, sorry, excuse me, just for a moment. Now, there's the fringing reef. See, fringing reef develops along the continent. This is your continent or this is your land that it soars from the coast up to the mouth of the river. It says that it develops along the continental margin, number one, or the seaward slope. Sorry for that. I'm just having a bad cold. And then that is towards the seaward slope. This is your seaward slope. And this is your landward slope. Now from the diagram itself, you can see that the seaward slope is steep and the landward slope is gentle. It's that simple. So basically, what do we got about your fringing reef? Number one, develops along the continental margin. Number two, seaward slope is steep while the landward slope is gentle. Next, presence of the gap between the fringing reef and the coast results in the formation of your lagoon. This is also called as the boat channel. Understand this? This is your land. From here, there is your fringing reef. Sometimes what happens is that there becomes a dissolution of the reef, as a result of which this area gets filled with your water. Hence, this is also called your boat channel, or we call it also as your lagoon. I hope you got it clear. Next, barrier reefs. See, barrier reefs are the largest of the most extensive, highest and the widest reefs of all types of the coral reefs. The average slope is about 45 degree, but some barrier reefs are characterized by 15 to 25 degree. This is extensive but shallow lagoon between the coastal land and the barrier reef. Barrier reefs are seldom found as continuous chain, rather they are broken at many places, and thus the lagoon have contact with the open and the ocean. See, first what we studied about is that we studied about your fringing reef. Now when this fringing reef actually extends, this leads to the barrier reef. Barrier reef is nothing but it creates a blockade. Now this barrier reef, number one is that it is extensive, that the barrier reef is characterized, this is extensive but shallow lagoon, but there is a shallow lagoon. See, whenever there is an extension of this barrier reef, what happens is that this area again will be filled up with the water, and that results in your shallow lagoon. Now what happens is that the barrier reef, though it is extensive, but sometimes there is a breakage of the barrier reef. Why? Because of the influx of the water. Remember that, as I had said earlier, that corals do not survive in the in the mouth of the river, where there is flux of the fresh water and where there is high turbidity. These are the two conditions. Hence, what we find is that they have contact. As a result of this, they are broken at many places. Why? Because of the influx of the fresh water. Next, atolls. Atolls are nothing but your coral island. How do we have described atolls? Atoll is nothing but a ring of narrow growing corals of horseshoe shaped and crowned with palm tree is called atoll. Ring of growing corals, or you can say it simply like this: the ring of growing corals like a horseshoe shaped with the palm trees upon them. They are called your atoll. What is the example of atoll in India? We have your Lakshadweep. Next, again, atoll is divided into three types: true atoll, island atoll, and coral atoll. See, in the true atoll is nothing but your simply you have a circular reef, and then there is absence of any island. But in the island atoll, what happens is that there is circular reef, but there is island which is present. This island is present in between the ocean, or wait, sorry, the island is present in between the lagoon. Next is a coral island or your atoll island. Example is your Maldives. Now this coral island or the atoll island does not have island in the beginning, but later on the island is formed due to the erosion and deposition by the marine waves. Atoll are found in Antilles Sea, Red Sea, China Sea, Australian Sea, Indonesian Sea, and the Indian Ocean. Now these are some of the basic concepts. You do not need to write this in your answer, but you need to know such things. Now, theories on the reef formation. The first and the foremost theory was that of your Darwin. See, Darwin was an evolutionary. Was an evolutionist. Means he gave the theory of the evolution, and as per his theory of the evolution, the total that the human being came into existence from the monkeys. Similarly, Darwin gave the theory that the coral reefs basically developed from the fringing reef. First they develop fringing reef, then they become the barrier reef, and then they become atoll. Now exactly what the theories was suggested by Darwin? Darwin theory was called as the subsidence theory. See, Darwin based his theory on the notion that number one, that coral polyps can grow only in the shallow oceanic water, and that there was gradual evolution. Evolution means it became from the fringing reef to barrier reef to atolls. See, first of all, he said that, please understand this, it's very easy. See, Darwin says that first of all the coral accumulated and they formed the fringing reef. Now what happened is that there was this mass, that this particular mass started subsiding, means it started going beneath the water, or there was a rise of the water level. Due to this rising of the water level or the subsidence of this island, what happened is that the reef that were formed around this, or that I say that your fringing reef was formed, fringing reef started growing. The fringing reef with its growth led to the formation of your barrier. Again there was further subsidence, and this barrier was converted into your atoll islands. And finally your atoll islands. See, coral, again we can read it from the notes itself. Coral polyps flock together, means they come together to form the suitable suitable submarine platform, forming a fringing reef. This is important. Means it's not that they would come together anywhere. It will come together over the suitable submarine platform. Next, submarine platform then is subjected to subsidence. Hence, this results in the growth of coral reef upward direction. Coral reef in upward direction, so as to survive. Now basically the question was, why did the coral grow upward? Because to survive, because the coral cannot live within the deep waters. Next, there was again subsidence continues, which results in the formation of the barrier reef and then the atolls. In the process, what happens that the lagoon that has been formed around the atoll, it remains shallow because of the sedimentation. Now what are the merits of this theory? Number one merit was that the shallowness of the lagoon indicates the gradual subsidence of the land. This is number one. Number two, absence of cliff along the coral islands validates the idea of the subsidence of the land. See, what is the cliff? See, basically this is your mountain which is located near to your coast. Now with the continuous erosion, what happens is that develops a notch over here. This development of the notch is nothing but your development of your cliff. Next, the coast and the islands of the Pacific Ocean have raised beaches, which are indicative of the emergence and devoid of the barrier reefs and atoll. Remember this, the coast and the island of the Pacific Ocean have raised beaches, which shows that there is emergence of the land. Next, the island having atolls are characterized by very steep slope. It may be mentioned that very steep slopes are found only on the upper part of the island. This fact also denotes subsidence of the land. Next, the thickness of the coral reef increases downward. This feature reveals the fact that coral reefs are formed along the subsidence base of the submarine platform. So basically, what his entire theory supported this subsidence. First, he says that the shallowness of the lagoon indicates the gradual subsidence of the land. Next is that absence of the cliff. Next, it says that the coast and the islands of the Pacific Ocean have raised beaches. Again, this shows that emergence of the land. Last but not the least, emergence of the land and a divide of the barrier and the barrier reefs and atolls. Next is that the islands have atolls are characterized by steep slope. It may be mentioned that the very steep slopes are found only in the upper part of the island. Last but not least is the thickness of the coral reef. Next, what was the criticism? See, first of all, Darwin's theory was criticized on the ground that he said that there was a gradual development of the coral reef, that is from the fringing reef to the barrier reef to the atolls. But what is the condition when all the three features are located in the same region? Example, your Andaman and Nicobar Island, we find all these three located in the same region. See, this is something that Darwin was not able to explain. See, next was that presence of the coral reef below 300 feet was also not able, Darwin was also not able to explain. Again, that corals are also associated with the emerging island. What did Darwin say? Darwin says that there is an island which continuously started subsiding, and that resulted in your formation of your coral reefs, fringing reefs, and whatever. But it also says that corals are also formed with the emerging island. Now, this is the context that we need to understand, which Darwin failed to explain. Next, absence of geological evidence to support the subsidence of the island of the Pacific Ocean where the coral reefs exist. This is one of the major challenges. See, total what he did was that he studied the entire Pacific islands. Over that he framed his theory. But with his theory, he never got the geological evidence that is necessary for establishing a fact. Next, we have the standstill theory of Murray. Standstill theory of Murray is very simple, just understand it. Murray says that there is no subsidence, there is no emergence. He says that just look into this figure. He says that if there is a first of all, he says that this first and only assumption is that the coral polyps can exist only up to a depth of 180 feet. This is the basic assumptions. So he says that if there is a submarine platform which is greater than 180 feet, then what will happen is that it would be eroded by the sea wave, and they will bring it up to such an height where the corals will start existing, or the corals can grow. Hence, consider this as the sea mount or the gjord. After erosion, what happens is that this will come at the level where the corals will grow. Next, similarly, he says that if a particular submarine platform is at a very low height, that is even height below 180 feet, where the coral can survive. In this case, what will happen? Deposition will occur, and this deposition will lead to the increase in height. Hence, there will be growth of corals. Simple. He says that hence the fringing reef further develops into the barrier reef. Full stop. Outward growth of the corals in all direction will lead to atoll, and dissolution of the dead coral will lead into the lagoon lake. He says that atoll has been formed, and within this atoll, when the entire middle of the lagoon lake is formed nothing but of the dead corals, which keeps on dissolving, and this further leads to the enlargement of your lagoon. See, this is the figure. It says that the dead corals on the lagoon, in the lagoonward side, means this part there are dead corals, and we have the living corals on the seaward side, means this is the sea. Dissolution of the dead coral will result in the enlargement of the lagoon. Simple. Next, it says that what is the criticism of this? See, first of all, in the very starting, this was very well accepted. But again, what happened was that with the coming of time, there was a severe criticism of Murray's theory. See, criticism number one, Murray's theory. See, Murray said that 180 feet. Again, he had the same demerit as that of Darwin. See, coral reef existed even below 300 feet, and they were not able to explain why do they exist. And that the Murray's theory that there must be a particular depth which would be eroded. Now, this is highly hypothetical. This is not possible. Similarly, he says that again there would be a height of the sea base would be eroded, that would bring it to a necessary height. Again, that becomes non possible, because such are not practically possible, and such things takes whole lot of time. Let's see. A limit of 30 fathoms for deposition and erosion cannot be accepted. Number one. Number again, according to Murray, lagoons are formed due to the solution of the dead coral. This mechanism is also doubtful because lagoons may be formed due to the solution of the corals. The pelagic deposit laid down on the submarine platform, or the peak would also be dissolved. It says that you cannot just say that that the shell lagoons are formed because of your dissolution of the dead coral, but dissolution can also happen because of your pelagic deposits. What are pelagic deposits? We'll talk about it in your next class. Next, if the land and the submarine platform of the peaks are stable, then the lagoon would be completely filled up with the marine sediments. Next, we have the glacial control theory. The glacial control theory was propounded by Darley in 1915. See, first Darley says that there was a Pleistocene ice age. What was Pleistocene ice age? It was during the time when the whole earth was covered on ice. What happened was that this is your earth, this is your water. When the earth was covered in ice, what happened is that the height of the earth rose, whereas the water fell, the level of the water fell. Hence, it led to fall in the mean sea level by 60 to 69 meters. This led to the wave erosion. See, once this part of the water was exposed, this was led to the erosion of the waves, and then it was the death of the coral and the formation of the wave cut platform. What is this wave cut platform? The platform that is formed due to the wave erosion, and it also resulted in the death of the coral. Next, what happened when the Pleistocene ice age ended? Pleistocene ice age ending means the water that was confined over here on the land came back to the ocean, hence rise of the sea level. Next, the growth of the coral polyp that managed to survive. Though the water level fell, but there were some corals which could survive, and those corals, they managed to survive. They started to grow and resulted in the formation of the coral reef. Hence, fringing reefs were formed on the narrow wave cut platform. Means the wave cut platform that were narrowly cut led to the formation of your fringing reef. And next, we have the barrier reef, which was formed because of the broad wave cut platform. Last but not the least, we have the atolls, which were formed around the isolated wave eroded island peaks. Next, merits of this theory. See, this theory explains the existence of the reef below 300 feet. Number one. Number two, explain simultaneous existence of all three kinds of reef, which Darwin failed to explain. Sorry, which Darwin failed to explain. Next, this is based on pure scientific reason. But what are the criticisms? As per this theory, the lagoon, atoll, and barrier reef should be the lagoon of the atoll barrier reef should be of the same depth. I'm sorry, I'm at depth, but they should be of the same depth. But such is not the case. It says that even if there is a atoll that has been formed, even if there is a barrier reef that has been formed, or even if there is a fringing reef that has been formed, the lagoon depth should be same, but this is not the case. Next, if marine islands were eroded with the fall of the water level, then there should not be any island between the coast and the coral reef. It simply says that the marine islands, if they were eroded with the fall of water level fell, there were marine islands. Now these all marine islands were eroded, means they were totally in non-existence. Now it says that if the marine island would have been eroded, then there would not be any marine island between the coast and the this coral reef, but there exists such marine island. Now this is one of the contradiction. Next we have is the Davis. See, Davis, he did not propound any kind of a new concept, rather he supported this subsidence theory. He says that two things that he said to support it. First, according to him, coral grow along the subsiding land. This is one of the things that he says. Next, the presence of the indented or the embedded coastline found in the coral seas validates the subsidence and the consequent submergence of the land. It says that the coral reefs are found along the subsiding land, means wherever the land is subsiding, there we are finding the coral reefs, or where the water level is emerging. Number one. Number two, according to him, the flatness of the bottom of the lagoon and the uniform depths are not due to the uniform lowering of the sea level, and these bottoms are not true bottoms, but they are due to deposition of the marine sediments. Read it again. According to him, the flatness of the bottom of the lagoon, this is your lagoon, and that this flatness of the lagoon and the uniform depth are not due to the uniform lowering of the sea level, and these are not the true bottom, because these bottoms are because of the deposition of the marine sediments. See, over here what they said was that let's go prior to Dali. Let's look at over here in the standstill theory of the Murray. Murray said that this are developed, that the lagoons are developed because of the dissolution of the dead coral. He says that the lagoons are not necessarily that there will be dissolution of the dead corals, but rather that can be the deposits of the marine sediments which are extracted from the land, and that basically is the result of the uniform, and that result is basically of the uniform depth of the lagoon and not due to the uniform lowering of the sea level. Next is your coral bleaching. See, coral bleaching refers to the decoloration of the coral because they discharge the zooxanthella from themselves under the unfavorable condition, like rise in the ocean temperature. When is the ocean temperature rising? El Nino leads to the rise in the ocean temperature. Next, global warming leads to the rise in the ocean temperature. Next, depletion of the O2 oxygen due to the increasing zooxanthella due to the overfishing. What happens is that, see, this is your coral reef. Within this coral reef, there are number of fish species that keeps on eating your zooxanthella. Zooxanthella are nothing but your macroscopic planktons. But what happens is that overfishing actually eliminates this fish. As a result, the zooxanthella proportion increases. And this zooxanthella, what happens is that adversely affects the coral reef because they take away the oxygen from the water. Next, that is the depletion of the O2. Next is that salinity fluctuation. What is salinity fluctuation? See, if the water temperature rises, what happens is that temperature and salinity are directly proportional, as we had studied in the physical property of the ocean water. Now in this context, what happens is that with the rising temperature leads to the rise in salinity. Hence, what will happen is that the corals will not able to survive. Similarly, if there is the excessive flux of the fresh water, again the corals will not be surviving. Next is that dredging. See, this dredging is nothing but your ocean bottoms are basically what they do is that they use a crane and clear out these deposits on the ocean bottom so that the ships can easily come in without getting obstructed in the ocean bottom. Now the problem is that such things, what they do is that they increase your turbidity. See, this was the very reason that your Adnani group, I hope you know who is Adnani group. The Adnani groups, they had taken the coal mining in your Great Barrier Reef, near to the Great Barrier Reef. And there was a consistent protest that such mining will, what it will do is that it will increase the turbidity in the water, and as a result this will affect the corals. Next, bacterial infection remains another challenge. Next, plastic pollution. Again, last but not the least, this is cyanide fishing. What is the cyanide fishing? See, again this is your coral reef. Within the coral reefs we have a number of fish. What they do is that they basically they into the coral reef they deposit sodium cyanide. The sodium cyanide, what it will do is that they will stun the fish, means the fish would be paralyzed. They won't die, but they will be paralyzed, and they will be easily captured, and they will be kept in the aquarium. Now what this does is that this sodium cyanide directly or indirectly affects your coral reef. Number one. Number two, decline in the fish species again affects your coral reef because this happens. Next, as per the Clive Wilkinson report on the global coral reef monitoring, coral bleaching can be classified into two categories. The coral bleach can be classified into the following categories. One is the catastrophic bleaching, which affects 95% of the coral. Severe bleaching affecting 70 to 50% of the coral. Moderate category affecting 20 to 50% of the coral, and the insignificant category affecting the 20% of the coral. I hope this is clear. Basically, you can have a question about the coral reefs and the theories that has been suggested with respect to the rise of the coral reef or the formation of the coral reef. Thank you for today's class.